Hello, welcome to our channel. We're just making sure it works. That little FBI mobile antenna station has shown up once again on our radar. They're not too far away, and so we have somebody else taking up for the FBI approximately 3 houses away. Don't know which one. They work covertly. That's why I call them the yellow bellies. Never trust a government agent. Never. Anyway, massive data manipulation. Everybody says the U.S. food production is going off. We're looking at worldwide mass starvation starting today. Over 1.5 billion people don't have food. Today, as we speak, 1.5 billion people didn't have enough food today across the world. All across Indonesia, India, all the way through Pakistan and Afghanistan, Iran, drought, overpopulation, all of Africa, all of the Middle East, they can't feed themselves. We'll get into that in a minute. First of all, you will soon be eating whatever they feed you. And most of the public will say, oh, it's okay, it's this and it's that. No, it's not. It's going to make you sicker and sicker. So I go to get the tea for things like calm tummy. If you worry, boy, I tell you what, they sprayed us. They're spraying so much stuff on us, I can't believe it. I go outside, I start to cough. That's how bad it is. The toxins NASA is funding to spray on us is incredible. Anyway, so I go to get the tea because of the stuff they're spraying on us. Now, you want to slow down aging? Pine bark, take products that have resveratrol in them, but not much. Pine bark extract and cordyceps mushrooms and get the tea have enough resveratrol to slow the aging process naturally without overloading your body and causing you to go into an autoimmune disease problem. And they have hair and nails and sea vegetables. The NIH says sea vegetables helps slow aging. And the hair and nails, of course, make it so your nails don't crack and your hair looks thicker. And that, of course, makes you look younger. So go to get the tea. And these are the products I use to prevent wrinkles at almost 70. Yeah. So, anyway, I'm having fun with it. I love Get the Tea. Besides, it's a fun company to work with, and I use Mount as a promo code, and I save and you save 10%. So, the attack on the Crimean Bridge was 1.1 kilotons. Now, how do you get I've done explosives for years. Unloading 1.1 kilotons of explosive is very arduous. But if you have some kind of an NSSA-made atomic hand grenade, which is about this big, you put a guy in a scuba suit and he stuffs it in the mud and then he swims away. Boom, gone. He probably has one of those scooter things that you can go 2-3 miles an hour underwater with, which is really fast underwater, actually. If you're scuba diving, it's like, oh my God, hard to hold on. But anyway, so Trump wasn't told that they were going to use an NSSA atomic hand grenade, modified, of course, for underwater use, on a bridge in Russia. Nor was he told about the ammo dump that was blown up 2 weeks ago that did not use a conventional weapon, because in a conventional weapon explosion, ammo goes in all directions. Well, this was a clear and distinct 3 to 5 KT non-conventional weapon. Nor was he told about the one that was detonated 3 years ago. Susie Wilds, you're doing a really bad job as chief of staff. Nor was he told about the one that was detonated while he was president 5 years ago in the Ukraine. Again, Susie Wilds, you stink as a chief of staff. You better start getting this information to Trump, or he's going to be mighty mad. So the attack on in the Russian Doomsday Radio was immediately activated the second that fourth non-conventional weapon went off, and the broadcast last words were Arapo Blitz, which means the sower of destruction. That's the, I can't believe they did that. They fired weapons 5,000 miles into Irkutsk, which means they had to download them off of the Vladivostok and take them by truck and fire at Eastern Russia, which has nothing to do with the conflict. They're there to kill and maim. The U.S. targeting satellites are killing and maiming children and mothers. who are at the mall, the shopping centers. They're in their apartments making breakfast. The U.S. targeting system is killing these people. And Trump says he doesn't know about it. Susie Wilds, you better get this information to him, especially about Air Force One cracking apart. You better get the message to him. Because if he finds out you're lying to him, Susie Wilds, you're done. You're 67. Anyway, you got no place else to go. Thanks to the VA selling military records around the world. Not in the news, the F-35 was just compromised. They can make it run around in circles. Remember the Iranian 14-year-old that had a destroyer running in circles and the gun going like this? You know, we only put one gun on a destroyer, which is really freaking stupid. And it was going like this, with this barrel going like that. Some 14-year-old kid hacked into the U.S. destroyer because the VA sells military records around the world, and some of these people in the military are very upset. So they've gone to China, and China's compromised everything. So Iran's one of the countries that gets the data. So this 14-year-old kid hacked into the Iranian computer and had our destroyers running in circles. We're going to attack Iran. Bull. They'll have our missiles going up and coming straight back down. Hello? Susie Wilds, you better be telling President Trump what's really going on. And as for gasoline tax, I was noticing on oil price, the wholesale price of gasoline is $1.90, plus delivery fee, plus a 5-cent profit. It should be selling for $2.15 at the pump. Because, you know, you got 18.8 cents of a federal road tax, which the states never use on the roads. We got rebar showing an I-5 up by Snohomish. They pocket the money. They pocket the money. So our gas is $4.65, so there's $2.50 in taxes that we pay. We got to pay for the illegals and the refugee pay. Somehow we got to pay them refugees $8,000 a month for mama and dada. That's $16,000 a month just for refugee pay. We got to pay for it. Welcome to the hyperinflation world. Thanks, demons, Democrats. Anyway, food production worldwide is going down. And I've always been told growing up that America has wheat fields aplenty, and I've driven through them, and I've seen them, and oh my God, there's wheat fields in Nebraska. You stand there, as far as the eye can see, nothing but wheat. Kansas, not so anymore. The only 4 food exporting countries around the world are Australia, Brazil, Argentina, and Russia. I'll say that again. The 4 exporting nations. This is why they want to kill Russia. To kill billions of people through starvation. The 4 countries that export food are Australia, Brazil, Argentina, and Russia. Oh, and Canada, I'm sorry. Canada still exports food, but maybe not for long, because we're getting strange climate things going on in Canada. Thank you, NASA. I bow to your greatness. And in 1980, we've had since 1980 a 50% decrease in the number of farms because they're being bought up by corporations owned by foreigners, which is illegal. Only Americans can own American land. But not so under the reign of the Democrats. So the farms are being bought out and shut down. And now Bill Gates, who's dead, is buying up massive amounts of ranch land, and he's dead. So who's buying up the farmland? Nobody knows. They just say it's Bill Gates. And then he goes in there and he shuts down the ranch lands. Less cattle. Just shuts it down and calls it an ecological zone. We drive through Puyallup. There's tons of acreage that isn't planted that belongs to farmers. It doesn't pay to plant. The cost is too high to plant. And there's only one buyer of your food, and they'll tell you what they'll pay you for it. And they'll give you the seed and give you the loan and the fertilizers are filled with toxic waste. So production in the wheat fields is going. Not like the U.S. Department of Agriculture says, because you got a computer, garbage in, garbage out. The AI is garbage. Absolute total garbage. You put in crap, you get out crap. Nothing is real in there. So the acres of wheat in the United States have gone from 75 million acres since 1980 to 30 million acres. Not like the U.S. Department of Agriculture says. They lie like a rug. So do all the universities. And we're still paying them to lie. Why are we building an AI? To lie to us? So this means prices are going to skyrocket. Farmland since 1980 has gone from 1.1 billion acres to 800 million acres. But what's worse is the NASA-created drought and the NASA-created weather. So, for example, NASA said it was going to be 55 to 70 yesterday. It was 45 to 75. Just a little bit of manipulation of the data, and they can say there's global warming when there's actually global cooling. But because of HAARP, remember, University of Alaska, Thule Air Force Base in northern Norway, fires raise into the upper atmosphere and reflects it off to boil our oceans. That area that it hits, the ozone disappears. And so when they turn HAARP off, the ozone fills in. And then it fills in. And then it fills pretty soon. It's thinner and thinner. In addition, if you remember, in 2011, we talked about this months before it happened, 3 months. Obama launched a VX-80, variable warhead, cruise missile at Omaha, Nebraska. And I warned him to the hour. God says, warn him. So as it was flying to Omaha, missile came up and blew it up. Well, that blew a big hole in the wheat fields in Nebraska. Radioactive. It was in all the local papers. And then a machine stabilizing our sun was destroyed. We don't know who put it there. We don't know what it does. But we knew it fired something into the sun. And from that point on, the sun has not stopped breaking out with sunspots. We had the largest sunspot in history. Just missed the Earth 5 days ago. So the sun is turning white because it's burning more helium than hydrogen. And helium turns into sodium, which burns white. Bright white. You know, go to a science lab, put raw sodium in water. Burns bright white. Which is changing the frequency, which is meaning that the farmland is needing more water, which means dryland farming is drying up. So all across the world, from Iran to Pakistan, where they do dryland farming, not only are the rivers dry, because, you know, you take a country with 10 million people, and now it's got 100 million people, and they're all sucking off that aquifer, and they're all farming to try and feed themselves, and suddenly the rivers run dry, trying to replenish the underground water. So most of the rivers in Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and I call it Afghanistan. The rivers are dry. There's no more water for the sheep. There's no more water for the cattle. There's no water for agriculture. So we're having a massive, massive food shortage worldwide. And since these countries charge America 100% tariffs, we're going to charge them 100% tariffs. Well, they should have thought about that a long time ago, because now they can't afford to import food. Because every other country is charging every other country reciprocal tariffs. So Iran raises a tariff say Iran raises a tariff of 100% on bottles. Well, then we raise a tariff of 100% on bottles, right? These are all American-made ingredients, by the way. None of it comes from China. So, but anyway, so this bottle, I should have used this bottle because we're advertising Get the Tea. So this bottle comes from China. So they charge us 100% tariff on plastics we ship to them. So we charge them 100% tariffs on plastic they ship to us. Well, they should have thought about this a long time ago when they started screwing America. Trump came in and said, no more screwing America, but Susie Wilds, you better tell him the truth. Because I'm telling you, King of Kings and Lord of Lords is focused directly on you, whether you give Trump the messages I've been giving. His life is dependent on it. And you're his chief of staff. And as for D, who's Melania's chief of staff, Tuano, I can't pronounce it correct. You better be telling Melania to watch her back, because they might go after her. So anyway, 5 food exporting countries Farmland has gone from 1.1 billion acres to 800 million. Ranch land has gone from 1.1 billion to 700 million. But the carrying capacity of the ranch land has plummeted because we are dumping 8,000 tons of toxic waste using the 55th Air Wing out of Fairchild and the 60th Air Wing out of Omaha, Nebraska. They moved it so nobody would know where they went. And Dresden Air, which was Victor Bout's airline. I hope you've released Victor Bout from jail, President Trump, because if you don't, you're on the bad side of Russia. CIA stole his airline and threw him in jail. His whole airline, second largest transportation airline in the world, and they just seized it. He needs to be out of jail. And now we've got foreign-owned farmland. Oh, that only accounts for 2 or 3%, man. Oh, it's only 45,000. What about the foreign-owned NGOs that buy U.S. farmland and ship the farm food to their countries? China's buying enormous amounts of farmland, and they're shipping the food directly to China that you can't eat because it's owned by China, worked by Chinese. You can't have that farmland. It's a violation of the Constitution, but Trump's like, well, whatever. So we know about NASA, HAARP. We know what Obama did. I can't believe the amount of stuff they're spraying on us. And that spray contains 2,4,5-T. Agent frickin' Orange is in what they're spraying us. Agent frickin' Orange. Along with lead and arsenic. You know, fluoride's just as toxic as lead, and we put it in our water. Then we water our crops with it. You don't think crop production is affected by excess fluoride? Oh, get a clue. The fluoride they're putting in water has destroyed your gardens. That's why your gardens are doing bad. That's why your well water has fluoride in it, because it's an aluminum manufacturing waste, and they use it to cool nuclear reactors and then put it in your water. It's radioactive. You wonder why cancer is going through the roof? It's like the place in St. George, Utah, where the radiation drifted in and they started building the site. 2 workers dropped over dead and 2 got sick, so they shut the building site down. Radiation, baby, they got to have a place to bury it. And finally, Chinese terrorism. 2 people from China came into the United States working with the University of Minnesota with all kinds of fungus, and they let them in and they let them go. Biden let them go. They went to the University of Minnesota, and they're doing a charge of function. They're taking the molds and viruses and making it so it attacks wheat and corn and humans, these fungi. That's why you're going to need to get the T. So gain of function. They're gaining function to kill wheat. A few days ago, 2 Chinese nationals were arrested. Border Patrol let one of them go. They were headed to the University of Michigan or Minnesota to give these fungus samples to them to destroy wheat production across the United States. Gain of function, baby. Make it so that it kills wheat, corn, soybeans, which are mostly genetically modified, so who cares if they kill the soybeans? Why don't you kill the canola oil? That kills us. Anyway, canola oil shuts your liver down, you get fatty liver disease, and you die from canola oil. So go to the National Institutes of Health. It's all in there. CDC, baby. So this Chinese sabotage of the American crops through fungus is now ongoing. They just spread fungus across 7 states. It wasn't gasoline or jet fuel. It was fungus being spread to land on America because the winds, it hit the West Coast and it's blowing right across America. Fungus is to kill our crops. The only way I know to counter fungus is the formula I gave you a long time ago. A pound of Miracle-Gro, 8 ounces of green palm olive soap, which I can do better at if you would work with me, farmers. And then a tablespoon of Epsom salt. Don't use it on trees. You won't get any apples. But they're putting toxic waste in everything. So like the Philippines, like China, huge amounts of American farmland are now being sterilized because there's toxic waste in the fertilizers. And if you don't buy Monsanto fertilizers, they don't lend you the money. You can't plant a crop. You're out of business. That's why half the farmers are out of business. Taxes. Man, the governors want that money for the illegals. Anyway, so food prices should soon skyrocket. And you'll eat whatever that you can get your hands on that you can afford. You know, I know a person who's had Social Security for 25 years and it hasn't been raised one dime. 25 years ago, $1,000 a month was a lot of money. Today, they can't live on it. They want the old people dead. They want you not to be able to afford food, so you will bow to them. It's called the food wars. God bless. Thank you very much. And it starts now with over 1.5 billion people this morning not having enough food to eat today. We'll see you tomorrow.